Hi folks, Robert Novak here from the Andromedary Instinct, rsts11 and rsts11travel. I wanted to come to you today with a shorter, slightly less high production grade item that came up in the last week or so. I'm going to try to do more of these short talks with a little bit less production, a little bit less prep, just getting some content out there for you guys so that you have some things to think about when you're going to Vegas or otherwise traveling. I was listening to the Ace of Vegas podcast. I'll put a link in the description of this video, but I was listening to the recording of it last week after a weekend vacation with my honey, and he brought up the topic of the Waldorf Astoria, easy for me to say, in Las Vegas. It's part of City Center. It was one of the first properties there that opened in 2009. Gold certified with LEED, smoke-free, casino-free, really upscale dining and very luxurious accommodations. I stayed there 2 or 3 times while it was open as the Mandarin Oriental. And last fall, ownership and management changed. It became a I just can't get that right, can I? Became a Waldorf Astoria hotel under the Hilton brand. It's actually owned by the founders of Panda Express and one other person. There is not a Panda Express replacing Twist at that venue. You'll also still find the Tea Lounge and the Sky Bar on the 23rd floor. It's an interesting layout. You go up to the 23rd floor to check in and then go up or down to your room depending on where you end up. It's got 392 rooms and a bunch of condos in there, and it was originally built as sort of half condo, half hotel. Sort of what they did with Vidara, what they did with MGM Signature. And you know, those are two of a couple of names that are never really associated with inexpensive accommodations. You've got Waldorf Astoria, you've got Mandarin Oriental, you've got Ritz-Carlton, there's a couple of other high-level brands that you don't really think of in the same context as a standard Hilton, a standard Marriott, and so forth. But the Las Vegas Waldorf Astoria is actually fairly affordable. The Mandarin Oriental entity could easily be had for about $200 a night most of the year if you booked a little bit in advance. And I went and looked last week when I was trying to get my gear together at some of the prices. I looked at a rental rate or room rate for this week, the 2nd through the 5th of July. I looked at the 2nd through the 5th of August. I looked at 3rd through 6th, just to shift a day. And to go out a little bit farther, December 6th through 9th. And I was kind of impressed. So the very short notice, the one if you were checking in tomorrow for 3 nights, it was looking to be $287 a night. You could use 110,000 Hilton Honors points for that as well. For the August stays, it was $225 and $198 respectively, or 74,000 or 67,000 points a night. And the December stay, $205 or 70,000 points a night. Now the interesting thing is that in addition to these very reasonable rates, you know, when I looked at Mandarin Orientals in other cities like Boston, I was seeing room rates of $500 to $600, which is kind of baseline for Ritz-Carlton as well, and I'm pretty sure there's a fair number of Waldorf Astorias in that range. But I looked at the Vegas location, and it kept going at that sort of level, that $200 to $300, sometimes lower, sometimes higher. So you can definitely afford it. It will cost more than a comp at one of the MGM or Caesars properties, or Wynn, or one of the downtown hotels, of course. And it's more expensive than some of the other properties, but I've had $200 a night stays at Delano and Aria, so by comparison, Waldorf Astoria is a pretty good deal at those prices. And something that you might not know about, I'm scrolling here my notes off to the side, there's a program that American Express has for their Platinum card holders. I know this applies to the personal Platinum card and the business Platinum card, and I'm pretty sure some of the co-brands like Mercedes-Benz, Fidelity, and Schwab, among others, also offer this benefit. It does not apply to Platinum credit cards, like the Delta card. It is only the Platinum Charge card, traditionally known as the American Express Platinum card. And this program they have is called Fine Hotels and Resorts. It's not always the best rate for the property, but there's a lot of benefits to it. And off the top, what you're looking at is a free room upgrade if available, if you're not already at a fairly high level room. If you stay at Aria Sky Suites, you're probably not going to get an upgrade from a corner sky suite, unfortunately. But if you're staying in a standard room, you're probably going to get an upgrade if it's available. You get noon check-in when available. You get a guaranteed 4 p.m. checkout on the day you leave. You get daily breakfast for 2 people, and that's usually a $30 credit or a buffet or a standard breakfast. So if you've got 2 people in the room and you want to go spend $100 on breakfast, you get $60 off, as long as it's charged to the room or otherwise in an eligible venue. And they'll tell you when you check in what the options are for that. You also get free Wi-Fi, which when I was staying at Delano on one of these programs was a value of about $5 plus tax per night. Not a whole lot, but it adds up. And they also have what they call the unique property amenity. In most cases, this is a $100 spa credit. And believe me, it's easy to use that up and then some at most of the spas at these properties. Some of them will have a property dining credit. The last time I stayed at Delano, they had a $100 dining credit for pretty much any property restaurant in the Mandalay complex. As long as you charge back to your room, the base food cost was deducted from that credit. Tips and so forth, not deducted. You pay for those yourself. So those are a lot of the options with the Fine Hotels and Resorts program. And you can look it up on American Express Travel. One of the other things that happens sometimes with Fine Hotels and Resorts, there are a lot of credit cards out there that offer a 4th or a 5th night free if you book either with their rewards program or through their travel portal. Amex offers this with the Fine Hotels and Resorts program as well. So in some cases, you'll either see the daily rate reduced or you'll see an explicit 3rd night, 4th night, 5th night free. When I stayed at Aria Sky Suites, we had a promo like that, and the 3rd night was free, which effectively cut the per night rate way down. Not way down, but substantially down, and made it pretty reasonable. So when I looked at the rates for those same time frames that I was telling you about earlier, they were a little bit higher. So for example, if you're checking in, if you booked last week, check in today, or tomorrow I should say, July 2nd through 5th, the base room rate on the Hilton site, $287 a night. The Fine Hotels and Resorts site, $339. So you're talking about $97.07, 1, 2, 3. So you're talking about $52 more per night. And at the worst, you get $60 of breakfast credit. So you do more than break even. If you get an upgrade, if you use the Wi-Fi, if you use the property amenity, you're ahead of the game. And in addition, they have some new features in the recent Amex Platinum revisions, where if you prepay a Fine Hotels Resorts booking with an eligible card, you get 5x membership rewards points as opposed to the typical 1. And you can also use those points instead on the prepaid booking. So if you have, I didn't write down the night rates for membership rewards points, but it tends to be about a penny a point for most of them. So that $339 a night comes to just over $1,000 for the stay, plus taxes, plus resort fee. So you'd be looking at either earning 5,000 membership rewards points, which is worth anywhere from $50 to $400 depending on how you redeem them, or you could use that. You could use 100,000 membership rewards points on that stay and just pay the resort fee. So if you've been thinking about the Mandarin Oriental and you missed out, a lot of the theme, a lot of the styling, and a lot of the restaurants are staying the same. They've renamed Mo Zen to Zen Kitchen. It's still on the 3rd floor, looks out over the typewriter eraser and crystals at Aria. It's right around the loop, more or less, from Aria, Vidara, and pretty close to Bellagio. It's definitely worth a try. I'm looking forward to getting another visit there and seeing how it's changed since the Mandarin Oriental days. So we're going to see how that goes hopefully in the next few months or the next year, maybe a birthday trip again for that one. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up and also give myself a chance to promote the Ace of Vegas podcast for my viewers who aren't familiar with it. So I'll include some links below. I'll give you a link to the Fine Hotels Resorts program. And if you've stayed at the Waldorf Astoria since it cut over, if you're planning to, feel free to mention it in the comments. And thanks for joining me. We'll talk to you again soon. Robert Novak signing out.